Hello once again, and welcome to another edition of the SaskAgToday.com Roundtable. We're joined by the Chief Agricultural Editor for SaskAgToday.com, Kevin Hirsch, as well as Ryan Young, the 620 CKRM Regina Agri-News Director. I'm Doug Falconer, Agriculture Director at GX94 Yorkton. And of course, the big news this week is that seeding is well underway, and according to the latest crop report from Manitoba, 8% of the seed is in the ground, while Saskatchewan issued their first crop report of the year, and it says 18% of the crop is in the ground. First of all, Kevin, what is your reaction to that?
Yeah, progress is very good. Some areas we're off to a somewhat slower start in Saskatchewan just because it's been wet and had to wait for land to dry, but other areas have made great progress. I think the number for Southwest Saskatchewan, where I'm sitting, is something like 43%, and certainly there's everybody's all over the map. A little bit south of here, there's a lot more done. Here, a little bit less, but I'd say we're in the halfway mark. Some terrible winds this week, though, have held up spraying operations, and if your seeder gets caught up to the sprayer and you can't spray it, it means that you maybe are losing some time. And although moisture conditions overall are good, some of the forecasts for warmer and drier than normal in this spring and summer is a worrisome trend. So I wish the wind would go away, and hopefully there's rain in the offing, at least in this area. I know a lot of people will want to get a lot of progress before they get rain delays, but I never turn down rain.
And Kevin, topsoil is a concern as well when that wind is up like that?
Yeah, I've had some, we roll pulse crops, and when you roll, it can get kind of powdery, especially on the headland. And I had some edges of fields dusting, and you hate to see that. In fact, there was dust in the air all over the place during the height of those high winds this week. It reminded me, but not like 1988 and some of the terrible dust storms back then when summer follow was a big thing, and we just come out of a drought. So 88 and 89, there's some terrible soil erosion. So it wasn't of that magnitude, but certainly visibility was obscured and blowing dirt in places.
Ryan, you had a chance to speak with, I think it was Mark Cooper from Prairie Clean Enterprises, and he had an announcement regarding a flax straw plant.
Yeah, they announced earlier this week that they're going to be setting up a flax straw processing facility in Weyburn, and that's going to be their first facility that's under the PCE banner. They did some work around Regina and in Manitoba at a tolled facility there. From what Mark Cooper was telling me over the phone, that was kind of leased out for a bit, so they were doing some business there, and I guess they've moved on and kind of focused on this. So good news for Weyburn, obviously. It'll provide some jobs. I think he said right around some 30 full-time jobs that will benefit Weyburn, as well as spin-off in the area for farmers that are selling their flax straw to the company and so on. Work is expected to begin sometime this month in terms of getting all the construction done necessary to, have the building accommodate this sort of process, and they expect to have it operational by September. So we'll see where that goes. And from a financial perspective, they're looking to raise about $2 million in capital to make it all happen so that they can ensure that they're operating within the first 6 months. And he said that as of right now, they're about $250,000 total raise. So he hopes to get that total amount raised within the next month or so, and we'll see where it goes. Hopefully it turns out well, and hopefully it's a benefit to everybody in the Weyburn area.
Kevin, your reaction to this news?
I wish them all the best. I guess I've got enough history that I've seen a number of flax straw processing plants come and go and not really be able to make a go of things. So hopefully they've got their markets and their economics figured out and can raise the capital necessary. But certainly it's not an easy industry. Maybe technology has gotten better. Maybe they're onto something with markets. Certainly flax straw is a product that's a nuisance. People either burn it or they bale it or they try to get it off the field in many cases because the residue can be a real issue if you end up in a fall where you can't chop and spread it properly, especially. So it's a benefit. It is a plus plus, but I guess I'm a little bit jaded and a little bit skeptical. I'm hopeful that they're onto something successful, but like I say, a little bit skeptical.
And Ryan, cattle prices, you had a chance to speak with Emily Schmidt from the Saskatchewan Ministry of Agriculture, and it sounds like the prices are still holding strong.
And if we just leave it at that, that's pretty much the summary of the story of the cattle prices for this past week. But yes, they continue to set new record highs, both with the feeder steers and heifers, and it's just amazing to see how, like I've said before on this roundtable, despite the external factors and everything else going on in the world and concerns over U.S. and Canada trade, and we know both countries trade beef quite a bit. But despite all that, the prices seem to be going higher. And one of the notable things that came kind of take in terms of takeaways was the amount of feeder cattle that was marketed last week. It was more than double the previous week. This past week, it was around 10,000 compared to a little over 5,000 from the previous week, as well as the cattle futures. They continue to support the cash market as well. So kind of good on the future side as well as the cash market side. And a good story there.
Kevin, your reaction to the news about cattle prices?
It's just great, just amazing that the price can keep increasing. And I would really encourage producers, especially those that are in the midst of or probably through, in many cases, their calving season, to follow the livestock price insurance quotes. Some of those deals are getting better and better, better and better floor prices you can lock in for even less premium than before. We don't know that prices will go down. We don't know that insurance will pay out, but having a floor price at a fairly reasonable cost might be something that producers would want to consider. So I'd really encourage everybody that's in the cow-calf business to take a look at livestock price insurance and understand what it can offer and see whether it's something that they should be using as a tool.
Ryan, you also had a chance to speak with Adam Picallo regarding grain and oilseed prices on Friday.
Overall, for July canola and the July Minneapolis wheat contract, they were either kind of plateauing this week or they were kind of on a downward trend. Not by much, though. I think for canola, it was down about a couple bucks or something like that on the week. And then for wheat, it wasn't much, just 12 cents a bushel, I think it was, if my memory serves me well, but not a whole lot overall. And he kind of had more of an eye towards the days and weeks ahead. As we know that some U.S. and Chinese government officials are meeting in Switzerland to talk about trade, and that's going to be the first meeting that both sides have had in months since the trade war commenced. So we'll see where that goes in terms of the market. I'm sure if there's going to be something of significance, that'll result in the markets going up, or if they don't result in anything, might go down. Who knows? But that's definitely something to keep an eye on. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
I know, Kevin, last week we talked about the July futures, and you were probably a little bit more focused on November. I guess you keep an eye on both, though, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's an interesting inverse in the market right now. The new crop is quite a bit less valuable than old crop. The thinking is that old crop supplies are really being depleted, that crushing plants are going to be running thin of product to buy, and companies have product to buy to export before the new crop comes in. So old crop is quite a price premium on the futures market to new crop. And that's something to encourage everybody to clean out whatever bins they have and take advantage of old crop prices, because if unless something changes, certainly old crop looks to be a lot more valuable than when the new crop starts rolling in.
And finally, we wanted to end this with the fact that next week, Prime Minister Mark Carney will likely be naming his new cabinet, either Monday or Tuesday, we're hearing. And are you still thinking it might be Cody Blois as Agriculture Minister?
Well, that would be my guess. You got any guesses, Ryan, or any thoughts beyond Cody Blois? I haven't gone through the repertoire of who all was elected, but uh, min, uh, cabinet minister material with any agriculture background might be pretty sparse on the Liberal Party.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying, Kevin. I can only see Cody Blois retaining that agriculture role, and it would be a good thing, logically speaking. Don't really have anybody else other than Marie-Claude Bibeau, who we know didn't really have the background or the experience and kind of learned on the job. So if Carney decides to go with someone else, it's probably going to be for those reasons too. Hopefully, whoever's going to take that is willing to learn on the fly.
All right, well, that'll do it for this week's edition of the SaskAgToday.com Roundtable. On behalf of 620 CKRM Regina Agri-News Director Ryan Young and Kevin Hirsch, the Chief Agricultural Editor for SaskAgToday.com, I'm GX94 Yorkton Agriculture Director Doug Falconer saying so long until next time.